think we're pretty much good to go. I don't know. Do you feel good to go, Steven Stern? Is it Steven or is it Steve?
It's been a lifelong debate, and it's one letter difference, and I can't even tell sometimes which one people are saying. If it's a loud room or something, I'm like, but generally Steve, I think.
I always just assume that Steve is short for Steven.
Oh, it is, and I get both.
So you are Steven? Like your birth certificate?
Yep, with an N.
Okay. Anyway, here with Steve Stern. He is the owner and founder of Green Home Solutions. He's a cool guy, as those of you who are watching can tell by the cowboy hat and the very trendy sunglasses that he has on.
I bought them in London.
Yeah, you bought the sunglasses in London?
Yes.
Oh, nice.
Yes.
Okay. So, Steve,
They were at a drugstore. It was hard to find them though.
really?
Yeah. I needed them really bad. My eyes were having problems adjusting.
Naturally.
Jet lag and all that. We just got there.
Yeah.
And I went in a store and I could not find sunglasses anywhere.
And you picked up those bad boys?
Yeah, and then I grabbed. I was like, actually, these are exactly what
How
I was
much does
after.
something like that cost? Like
They
in
were
London, how much are those?
16 pounds or something like
How many
that.
dollars is that for
20-ish.
those? Really?
20,
Okay. Well, I
18,
guess that's
20.
about right then.
Yeah, they're like going to a gas station and kind of over, but they feel, they seem nicer.
Yeah.
They're comfortable. I
They
like
look
that.
good. They're colorful, and
Thank you.
as long as they block the sun, I mean that's kind of their main goal. But so I had something interesting. I asked Steve. I told him yesterday. I was like, "Yeah, go ahead and think about some things that you think you might want to talk about on the podcast." And he texted me earlier this morning and said, "Today we're going to talk about TV westerns."
Yeah.
This is something that's foreign to me. But before we dive into TV westerns, tell us a little bit more about Green Home Solutions and what it is that you guys accomplish.
Well, Green Home Solutions, we are a indoor air quality company,
Okay.
and we use EPA-registered plant-based products to fix mold, bacteria, odor, and allergen problems.
Okay.
So we're doing work in homes, fixing the air quality, fixing basically moisture-based kind of odor and contamination issues.
Yep.
Without using chemicals. We're preventing putting a lot of stuff in landfills because we don't do a lot of removal of sheetrock.
Right.
Actually treat things and keep them. And we make air quality better for just about anybody that wants it, which you would think would be everybody.
Right. So I mean, for example, like as a realtor, if I walked into a house and it smelled like a kitty cat or something like that, or maybe it smelled like pee pee or
Yeah.
something that stinks like that, you'd be able to step in and
Just like that.
snap it out.
Yeah, cat urine's a really common one. Pet odors of all kinds.
Right.
A lot of people look at a house I remember when I was shopping, we went to 20, 30 different houses at some point. And some of them you walk in and just think I can't imagine having people over here if it smelled this way.
Oh yeah.
And,
Right. And they're trying to sell it,
right?
and it smells that way.
We can get rid of odors pretty much overnight.
Wow.
Tell you what, an anecdote. It's funny. I own an odor company, odor removal service.
Right.
And my dog got blasted by a skunk maybe almost a month ago.
Yeah, that's ironic.
Right, exactly. Fireman's house burns down, odor control guy gets
Yeah.
hit by a skunk. And
Yeah.
I guess she opened the side door of the house, let the
dog
dog
did?
out. My
Oh,
wife.
I was like, geez, what kind of dog do you have?
Dog just jumped out.
Yeah.
No, Nicole, my wife, let the dog out, and the second that Penny ran out in the driveway, the skunk was there, just right inside the door of the house. She called me. I was
So the whole house smelled like
horrendous, man. I was at the bar. She called me.
nice.
I was like, oh man, I better get home. So I went to Walgreens and bought some low strength peroxide because I have high strength peroxide at my business.
Yeah.
But that would melt the dog's fur off. So
Right.
got the low strength stuff and some baking soda. Then I grabbed my little kit of tools and things that I knew would help.
Yeah.
Ran home, and when I was pulling up the street, I was like, oh, I can smell the skunk. From my car, like you do.
Yeah.
Then I pulled in my driveway, and I was like, ooh, that's stronger than normal. And when I walked in the house, it was it was
really?
it smelled like onions that were really rotting horribly. And concentrated. You can't escape it. You can't put your shirt over your face. It was horrendous stench.
Yeah.
Inside the house, it was right inside that part, and then the rest of the house all smelled like skunk, but it wasn't super, super strong.
Okay.
But completely, I mean, if I didn't own a business and know how to deal with these things, I would have been mortified. Wow, did I just,
Yeah.
what's this mean?
I think you're supposed to buy tomato soup or something, right?
Look, we fixed this
Look.
using a couple steps, a machine, and then a couple different products I have, and it took a total of maybe 8 to 10 hours to get the situation under control.
Yeah.
Because we had to go to bed, but
Right.
yeah, well, I was able to fix it right away, and it was epic. The difference, like,
Really?
I mean, this was a very real, like, wow, like you couldn't live in my house.
Yeah.
The way it smelled, and by 10 a.m. the next morning, it was like, you could faintly still smell some
Okay,
skunk,
I was gonna
and we've
say, yeah.
since gotten it out, but it is a long-term hard odor to get out,
Okay.
and we work with stuff like that all the time.
And tomato soup is not the answer.
I mean, it could be, but I don't have any protocols to follow for tomato soup.
Yeah.
And the cleanup after, like the products I use, I don't have to like get red staining tomato juice everywhere. So
Do you plan to be like the big do you want to take this company huge?
yeah, we're working on.
You should do a commercial like wearing that hat with those sunglasses, talking about how you're the mold guy.
I am the mold
You
guy.
look kind of like a cartoon character right now. So I think that you could easily be like a mascot.
Jeez, Mr. Mold, the Mold Ninja. See, we
Yeah.
go by Mold Ninja, and I always pictured the Mold Ninjas
Yeah.
wearing like ninja outfits. But when you think about it, with a name like Mold Ninja, like why wouldn't you be wearing an outfit like this?
Yeah. No, exactly. Or you
yeah.
could be like Marty the Mold Man,
Mm-hmm.
something like that.
Absolutely.
It could be a house. It could be a household name.
We do.
But you want to take it big?
Mm-hmm. We plan on our 10-year plan right now is to open one new franchise location per year for 10 years.
Okay.
So 2019 done.
Nice.
yeah.
Yeah. Well.
Lucky because it's coming up to an end.
Yeah. Will
So-
it become easier once you start to get more of them? Do you think?
Absolutely.
That's typically
There's
how those kinds of things work.
a couple of humps and plateaus to get over,
Yeah.
but it's like anything in life, when you start out and you have like sort of the wide berth of everything ahead of you, you need to get done, and then
Yeah.
an even wider berth of everything you don't even know exists yet that you need
That's
to get done.
exactly right. Yeah.
And at some point, you go from worrying about like the scope and scale of those mountains and more about like how am I just climbing it right now
Yeah.
with what's in front of me and what I can see like, by the end of today's hike or something.
Right.
And you just break those pieces off, do them a bit at a time.
Yeah.
So,
No, that's exciting. That's cool. That's a unique business. That's something that like a senior in high school, you don't think that he would graduate being like, I want to be the mold guy. I want to remediate mold. That's what I want to do. I
Right.
love hearing about those businesses that are totally scalable, such as yours.
Yeah.
But it's like something that not everyone is, not everyone's keen on.
it's funny, one of the first trainings we went to, because it's a franchise business we own,
Yeah.
so we go to these trainings, and this guy starts out with, I was that kid on the playground that said, I want to grow up and fix mold problems in houses.
That's what he said, or was
Yeah.
it sarcasm?
No, yeah, it was sarcasm, but he
Oh,
delivered
yeah.
it really well, and everybody for half a second was like, what? And he's like, no, I'm just kidding, of course not, right?
Yeah,
So it's
yeah.
like, we all ended up here somehow, and I'm like, yeah, it's weird to just
Yeah.
land in that place in life. We're like, what do you do? I love it
is
when people
weird.
ask what I do.
Yeah.
And when it's funny because for years I drove truck over the road, so I earned the cowboy hat, right?
Hell yeah.
Got me a CDL.
Oh man, I
Yeah.
don't even know what that is, to be honest. What is a CD? Casey, you know what a CDL is? I don't either.
Really?
Is that a radio?
Oh my God. I'll show you my CDL. You want to see it?
It's a driver's license.
It's
I
a
bet.
driver's license.
Is it a commercial driver's license? Is that what CDL stands
Commercial
for?
driver's license.
Look at that. That's a nice
Yeah.
picture too. You look you look surprised.
Yeah, something was going on there.
Yeah.
The-
It looked like the lady at the DMV was flashing you her boobs or something like that. In the
Oh,
background.
God,
You look shocked.
Yeah, I felt shocked.
Yeah, just say, geez, whoa.
No, it says valid for any vehicle or combination thereof.
Oh.
Any.
Wow.
Just any.
Like a
So-
tank, even, you think? Or a helicopter? No, that's different.
No, those are, yeah. No ships, anything
Wait,
land-based
does it literally
on
say
highways.
tank on there?
Oh, yeah, I have a tanker
a
endorsement.
tanker.
So, like hauling tank trailers and then double, triple endorsement.
Okay,
I used to have hazardous. I had motorcycle, too.
nice.
Anyway, what do we...
I got my firearms safety license.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah.
Nice.
Okay, so
We were going somewhere with that.
I
CDL and all that.
forget. You said, you kind of happened upon it. You said you were a trucker.
yeah.
You got your CDL.
I
Casey
hated
and
talking
didn't know
about
that
what I
was.
did. That was the point.
When
I
you
used
were a
to
trucker, you did?
hate it. Yeah, people are like, what do you do? I'm like, oh God, can we talk about anything else?
Did you spend any time at truck stops while being a trucker?
Oh, absolutely.
Is there some pretty weird things that go on there? Because there's a lot of people that are like, there's prostitutes, there's drugs, there's some really sketchy things going on there.
Check.
Is any of that true?
Totally true.
Really?
I mean, it's not like some big circus thing where go to a big city or any city. Are there prostitutes and drugs in Duluth?
Yeah.
Yeah. But I mean, does that mean like if someone were to come here, you'd be like, ooh, prostitutes and drugs? Like if they go to like, First Street,
Right.
right?
But
Certain
like,
blocks.
so like let's a truck stop. Let's say there's like 6 big trucks lined up. I mean, do like women like come right up to the window and like knock on the window?
Oh, it's funny.
Because
Yeah.
that's how I imagine it
Or
happening.
they'll like pick guys up, like just I think in the lot or the cafe.
Yeah.
I don't know. I've honestly never had anyone approach me. One time, it wasn't a truck stop though. It was just the highway.
Was it like a Walgreens parking lot?
This is, nope, this was an absolutely true story. I was pulling a set of doubles for FedEx. So it was like 2 trailers.
Okay. Oh yeah.
I'm coming back from Champaign, Illinois. On my way to Twin Cities, I get up by Cherry Valley, Illinois, and I see this minivan smoking on the side of the road, and this like woman kind of walking away from it.
Yeah.
And I was like, why not? I'll give her a ride up to the next exit. So I pull over. She gets in. And she's like, oh, thanks for picking me up. Just take me to I can never remember the name of these, like, gas stations. It's like the come and go thing in Iowa, but it's like the Get and Split or something.
Oh, I know what you're talking about.
Yeah, it's
I've
like
definitely seen them.
one of those weird brands. I
The
might come
Get
up
and
with it later.
Split.
Get and Split.
That'd be a good one.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
There's Pump and Munch. That's a real one.
Yeah, I've seen those before. Those are kind of funny.
It's one of those things when you look at like kids cartoons that are like way too adult themed. You're like, were they
Yeah.
like putting a message
they
in this
put-
Tom and Jerry shit?
Oh yeah,
like-
they say there's a lot of people who won't let their kids watch SpongeBob because of the innuendos. I just talked to a woman the other day, and SpongeBob came up, and I was like, man, SpongeBob. I was practically raised by that yellow guy. And then this lady was like, yeah, I got a 7-year-old son. I would never let him watch SpongeBob. I'm like, what?
People say the weirdest
That's
stuff sometimes.
insane.
Yeah.
Could you imagine? Do you have any kids? I forgot.
No.
You don't have any kids,
no,
right?
I'm not qualified for that at all.
You're not qualified
No.
for it. Let's say you had an 8-year-old son. Would you let him watch SpongeBob right now?
Would I?
Yeah.
I've never watched SpongeBob myself. I'm only
Really?
aware of like just seeing SpongeBob
Yeah.
things.
Like you
and-
said, though, Tom and Jerry would probably be. That would be maybe comparable because there's actually a lot of violence in that.
Tons.
I've
but-
watched it recently and thought, whoa.
Yeah, and it's funny because no one ever cared. I don't ever remember that being an issue.
No.
Never. No one
Yeah.
ever was like, oh, should we watch things that show us how to resolve issues by like dropping anvils on people's heads?
Yeah.
That was never a problem.
Right.
Never came up. There was
No.
never a time when like parents were pumped about that. But
Yeah.
then it's like all of a sudden you get into this, like, we're way off track though.
Yeah, no, that happens. You're talking about the Get and Split.
Okay, back to the story. So
Yeah.
FedEx, driving a truck, picked this lady up. I was giving her a ride to the Get and Split, we'll say, because I can't remember the actual name of the place.
I like that.
Going to the Get and Split, and she gets on the cell phone and starts calling somebody and is talking about the van and is like yelling at them and is like, like just having this big argument and like
Yeah.
hangs up. She's like, I don't give a shit. I'll leave it on the side of the road. It's not my van. Hangs up. And we get off, and one thing I always remember, they had a horse track at this exit, which is always just kind of like, all right, it's like a horse track town, Cherry
Yeah.
Valley.
Yeah.
So
No, I can see that.
yeah, we get off, and I take her up to this gas station, and I kind of pull in. There's like a shopping mall, and it's kind of it'd be like pulling into like Hibbing or something at sunset, middle of summer, like nice little small town,
Right.
people all over the place. This woman's like, well, thanks for picking me up. And I was like, no problem, have a good day. And she starts getting out of the truck,
Oh no.
and she hits the step, and then she stops, and she turns around, and she goes, "Les, of course, you're looking for some female company."
No.
Swear to God.
Why did she sound like that though? was she
No, that-
actually a guy? Like,
No, but that's what she sounded like. It was
Oh,
like,
really?
Oh, definitely like
she
a
just
heavy
had a
smoker.
hard.
It's like she was like making plans to go hang out at the casino later that night or something. Like
Unless you're
she
looking
totally
for some
was like
female company.
Yeah. I may be embellishing a bit on the accent or the.
Yeah.
I can't do it much.
You've
different,
been
but-
watching too many westerns, I think.
Oh man, the westerns. That's what we came here to talk about.
Yeah, well, that's what you said.
How did you respond? What did you tell her?
I was like, nope, I'm good. Like I was absolutely not,
Yeah.
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 It's not that day, not that person.
Wow.
Not
That's
there.
gotta be, that would be a tough sell.
Yeah, it was so weird because I was on, like, like, the ride was done. I hadn't asked for anything. I was literally just like,
Oh,
man,
right.
I've been in this truck for like all week. Pick someone up for 10 minutes. It's kind of interesting.
Yeah.
I've picked up tons of people in trucks, like just giving them rides, hitchhikers.
Right.
I've seen a lot of that, and you can always tell they're just kind of like not whatever. I mean, they're all like hitchhiking at truck stops, but they
Yeah.
aren't like murderers and crazy stuff. Usually, it's just
Some of them might be.
some might,
Yeah.
yeah. None exemplify themselves to me as that. There was a guy I picked up once down in southern Minnesota, and I was going north, and I was like, I'll drop you off south of the Twin Cities. And he was saying he was coming up to like the Iron Range for the grain harvest. And I was like, what? There's no like grain fields
Yeah,
up there.
it
Have you ever
sounds
been
like
up
a
there? And he's
myth.
like, nope, I know all about it. I go there every year. And I was like, cool. Like,
Yeah.
yeah, he was all into it, but.
I'd be nervous. The thing that makes me nervous about murderers is they typically try not to dress like a murderer. You know what I mean?
Is this not like a murderer?
I think you're trying to dress like a murderer while wearing that. So because
This?
of that, I would trust you. No, I'm just kidding. But
Well,
like,
I definitely didn't come here to murder you, so. So grab my ear.
but I'm just saying, like, if I saw a guy wearing what you're wearing, like, I wouldn't be afraid of. I'd be like, this is clearly somebody who's.
Yeah, I did not intend to scare anybody with this outfit.
No, that's not scary. Casey's got he's got a Halloween costume on. Casey's wearing a
And-
pirate costume.
It's funny because I keep forgetting that that's part of today and what we're doing because I don't see what I have on really.
Yeah.
And you're just wearing a shirt that
I'm
says
just,
Duluth.
yeah, I'm just like wearing whatever kind of. Yeah, I keep forgetting it's Halloween today, and then
You're dressed as Steve Stern on Halloween typically. Like I usually won't dress up for Halloween, period.
yeah,
So like I would just be wearing like shirt, jeans, hat or
shirt,
something.
jeans, hat.
So this
yeah.
is Steve Stern on Halloween.
Yeah,
This is actual Steve Stern. But the point was I keep looking at
Casey.
Casey and forgetting it's, and I'm like, this guy's got a big
yeah. So you guys can't see Casey right now, but
Yeah.
he's dressed as Steve the Pirate from the movie Dodgeball. You seen the movie Dodgeball with Ben Stiller?
I remember it coming out, but I can't remember if I saw it or not.
It's a hilarious movie, but there's a dude
Probably.
named Steve the Pirate in the movie, and Casey looks a lot like him. So
Hmm.
it's hilarious that he's dressed as Steve the Pirate.
Steve the Pirate.
Yeah.
It was funny. See, we're so off track, but I was at Starbucks getting a coffee.
Yeah.
And I guess the guy in front of me was also named Steve because they had like Steve for something that I didn't order, but I went up and looked at it, and this guy came up and grabbed it.
Yeah,
I was like,
it's
"Oh, are you also Steve?" And he's like, "Yeah." I was like, "That's what are the odds?"
Yeah,
And then
but
mine
not
came
that
up.
terrible, you think?
But I was like, "Wrong drink, right name."
Yeah.
Right in a row.
That's funny.
Anyway, you think there'd be something built in their computer to like warn them, like two Sallys, like don't
Yeah.
make sure you
Something.
differentiate.
Or maybe a first initial of your last name, like elementary school or something. Something like that. I don't know. Are you doing, you handing out candy for Halloween tonight?
We haven't had, we live in Lincoln Park. We've never seemed to have people knocking on the doors
Really?
there. Yeah. And I don't have kids. I don't understand them.
Yeah, I'm handing out candy tonight. It's like
Are
the
you?
first time I'm doing it because my neighbor kind of trapped me a couple of days ago.
Like-
I live in Lakeside, and this is my first year being there.
Yeah.
And he's like, so you all set to go for Thursday? And I was like, what do you mean? He's like, well, it's Halloween. He's like, you're handing out candy, right? And I was like, I don't know, I hadn't really thought about it. He's like, oh, you better go get some candy. And I was like, why? He's like, last year I got over 150 kids come by my front door. He's like, if you don't have candy that you're handing out, you're gonna get teepeed, you're gonna get egged. He's like, these kids are relentless and they're not happy if you do not have candy at your door.
That sounds
And I
appropriately
was like,
kind of
oh.
Duluth.
I was like, all right, I guess I gotta go get some candy. I mean, he was a little hostile about it. I think he was maybe even a bit dramatic, but I also it was, I think it was good, solid advice too. So now I need to go try to find candy on the afternoon of Halloween.
Oh, it's everywhere, man.
Is it? Because I saw snaps, people were sending pictures of empty, shelves. But I
Really?
don't know. We'll see.
No,
I just
maybe.
hope I don't get stuck having to pass out like Tutti Fruities or Tootsie Rolls or.
Don't get good in plenties. Those are weird.
Yeah.
That says something. Werther's either.
Yeah,
You're gonna
yeah,
get stuck with
exactly.
Werther's.
Fun. Yeah, thanks. Yeah. No handout like vitamin C gummy bears or something like that. Like, seriously, buddy? What are you trying to save my life?
Flintstones vitamins.
Yeah, Flintstones, chewables. Get out of here.
And you can't do anything that's not like packaged candy.
That's true.
Right.
That makes a lot of sense, though.
It does.
Yeah.
But
that
also,
makes a lot of
it's
sense.
2019. Like, you could easily mess
You
with
could.
an Almond Joy and reseal the bag. I mean, I'm
Oh,
sure you
for
can
sure.
buy like the machine to do that on Amazon.
Yeah. No, you
And
could.
since I'm not dressed like a murderer or or whatever it was, since I don't look like the kind of person who does these things, I can tell you with assurance, just openly share that I think you could easily like pass off wrapped candy that you
Yeah.
like
No,
totally
you could.
put rat poison in.
Have you seen the? Have
I'm
you
really
seen-
hoping this doesn't happen anywhere near here now because
Oh, of
like,
course.
there's this one guy.
Yeah, there's this guy in
we
the
were
some
quoted
shady
saying all that
sunglasses.
stuff.
It's
Who?
like when OJ wrote a book about how he would murder his wife, but he didn't do it.
That just came up the other day. I was like, yeah, and I can't remember how.
He's coming. He's making a comeback. OJ is.
He's the comeback kid. Like,
Yeah, no,
made
he
a
puts
bunch
out
of
a
them.
video every day on Twitter talking about news, just like recent news. He says he starts every single one with "Hey Twitter world," and then he goes off about what's happening in the news or in sports. And I don't know. It's kind of interesting. But did you see the video of those college kids who are taking Capri Suns and they're taking syringes and pulling vodka out of the vodka bottle, and then they're syringing it into the Capri Sun, and then they heat up a spoon, and then they melt the backs of the Capri Suns again, so they reseal it. So they put vodka in it.
So you don't know, or
So
it's-
yeah, they don't- well they do
or
it.
they can
to-
just
they
carry it.
sneak it into events or
Oh, I have this pre-sealed
into
pouch.
school. They're just like, yeah, it's just a Capri Sun. What are you talking about? You think you'd do that, Casey?
Get with it, Grandpa.
Yeah, yeah,
They like mix it with the Capri Sun, so it's like a mixed drink.
yeah. So they keep the Capri Sun in there, but then they just put vodka.
And how old are the people doing this? Like 20?
college age. So yeah, 19 through 21.
It's
See,
genius.
I'm like, how square are adults to think that 20-year-olds are still like bringing a Capri Sun for a snack later? Like,
I don't know. So
I mean, when I was 20, that's not what we were up to.
yeah,
you know?
I would definitely be. If I saw a kid at an event with a Capri Sun, I'd be like, "What are you doing, drinking that Capri Sun?"
Right? Yeah, you don't bring. That's like
What's
a
really in
9-year-old
there?
thing.
Yeah.
You're like,
There's
well,
like-
eat their snacks. I
There's
mean,
hardly any liquid in it. I don't even like. They're too small, and the juice boxes are too small. I don't know.
I was drinking a milk juice box today. See that?
Oh, silk.
It was funny.
Yeah.
Hmm.
Anyway,
Silk ain't no milk I ever heard of.
speaking of tones such as that one,
Yeah, the westerns.
the westerns.
Maybe we'll talk about them.
So yeah, maybe we will. I don't know. Maybe we'll talk about something else that comes up in conversation. No, so like I said, I asked Steve. I was like, yeah. So anything you want to talk about, we can talk about it. And he said we're talking about westerns.
Westerns are interesting.
Let me know why, because I know little about westerns,
Little,
except
yeah.
for they take place in the West.
Well, I think I'm particularly interested in them because, my dad, he's like 71 years old. He would
Okay.
have been like a first generation of like original, like when these shows like Have Gun Will Travel were on
Yeah.
from like 1958 to 1961 or whatever. My dad was like 10 to 12 years old.
Okay.
So that would have been like, for now, like when you talk about SpongeBob and YouTube and all the stuff, that was millennials had to watch. There literally was like you could watch a couple shows that were on these tiny little screens. You could only watch them when they were aired.
Yeah.
There was no like streaming.
Which is frustrating.
You couldn't record any of it. I mean, you could watch when it aired.
Yeah.
And so and that was the only kind of real, that was a super futuristic, exciting media. So I think about like my parents' generation and how they were kind of shaped and formed because think of how big of a outsize of a role those shows and those things played, right?
Yeah.
Because that was all there was. So I'm kind of fascinated because of that.
So you said they kind of incorporated politics sometimes
well,
into the westerns, or no? Or like let's like compare it to like South Park. So South Park uses politics in their episodes as humor. Was it on any level like that?
No.
Not with the humor, of course, but they would incorporate the politics.
Here's what's
into the
okay.
shows.
Here's what's a whole other why I like talking about westerns a lot. This is like the 1950s, right? Mid to late 50s, early
Got it.
60s.
Elvis.
Early still for television. It's been around for 30 years, 25 years. It's
In the 50s it had been?
yeah, it started in
When
like
did
the
television-
30s.
Oh wow, that's
20s,
earlier than
30s,
I thought.
yeah.
I would have guessed television came out in the 50s.
Television started being like something very common for people to have in the 50s.
Yeah.
So imagine if you had a cell phone in the 80s. That would be like having a television in the 30s.
Oh, okay.
Having a television in the 50s was more like having a television in like the late 90s, early 2000s.
Having a cell phone in the late 90s.
Yeah, and now, like, it's just all screens.
Right.
Everything is a screen.
We're on a screen right now.
Yes.
Someone's watching us on a screen right now.
If I bought these somewhere way fancier, I could be watching a screen in these while I'm talking to you on a screen, right?
Yeah.
And I could be watching an episode of The Love Boat or something
Nobody
nobody knows about. It's a horrible show.
I don't know what that is either.
You don't want to know. It's a terrible show.
What's it about?
It's a cruise ship. It came out in like 1980. The show did, and cruise ship was like for love, connecting, romance, travel.
Yeah.
And every week they'd have like different guest stars who would be like other network TV stars and such.
Right.
And they would travel like on the Love Boat, and there'd be some problem, like this kid's parents are getting split up, or I don't know, it's stupid, and they'd like
Right.
solve the problem.
Okay.
The staff of the boat would like bore you to death. I'm falling asleep while I'm telling you about this.
Back to westerns then.
Westerns are awesome.
Yeah.
So, Parents' Generation, it's 1950s, 1960s, it's early. It's like 20, 30 years of television, whereas now we're into like 70, 80 years or something. Television's
Right.
been around forever now.
Yeah, very
They've had a
long
lot of practice, a lot of time to learn how to do it.
Yep.
You watch the early episodes, the early shows, some of the stuff that was the first real like mass market commercial TV to come out.
Yep.
They had no idea what they were doing.
I bet.
Have Gun Will Travel. If you watch this, it's on at 7 and 7:30, 5 days a week on Heroes and Icons, channel
Now it
6-3.
is?
Yep, right now on your antenna. You can watch it every weekday, 7 and 7:30 a.m.
Have Gun Will Travel, it's called?
Yeah, and the opening credits for the show, it's just a side shot of this guy and his holster in his hand, and it's this music that just kind of goes like da 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 da. Da, 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 ba, ba, da, 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 da.
Oh, nice.
And then there's sort of like a little like interlude, and he'll pull the gun out and point it right at the camera,
Yeah.
and it's all you see is just the gun in his hand and like his waist.
Yeah.
And in a lot of the episodes, there's just nothing. It's just a gun pointing, and then it'll go back in, and it's like dun dun dun, and then the show starts,
Oh, okay.
and it's like 10 seconds long, and it'll just say like "Have Gun Will Travel," Richard Boone.
Got it.
That's the actor.
So when was that?
But
filmed?
then some episodes, just out of nowhere, the gun will come out, and he'll say something, and it'll be like, "You've been on my nerves for 6 days, friend, and your time is running out." Dun dun dun, and then it's like sometimes there's talking, sometimes there's not, and it's once you watch the episode, you're like, "Oh, he was talking about that." Like now we get it, but
Yeah.
it's really weird. It's like they were just. One week they're like, let's change it up, just do something different.
Right.
And now like things are very polished. Continuity is a big deal.
Well, there's like Family Guy has, or The Simpsons actually is a better example, where they'd all run onto the couch,
Yeah.
but it would be different each time
Yeah.
they sat down on the couch. So a lot of people do, and Family Guy does something like that differently with their intro.
But see,
from
they
time to
planned
time.
that way ahead of time, and like it's
Yeah.
like, oh, like The Simpsons have had that since episode 1, and it's
Oh,
funny.
right.
And Bart always writes something different on the chalkboard, but
Yep.
it's exactly the same but different. This
Yeah.
was like you could tell. A lot of the episodes will go like there's some conflict between two parties, and it's arguing and who's going to win and get their way, and at the end, like one person will be like, you know what, I give up, and like walk away. Like there'll be some total, we don't have any more time to go through this story. Let's just end it here. Like they
yeah.
just gave up and quit. It's really sloppy writing. A lot of the stuff doesn't even make sense.
Yeah.
It's really just like, it's like a vehicle to like parade some white dude with a gun on a horse around and just be like, I'm the right thing,
So when was that like filmed?
1958 to
Okay.
1961 was Have Gun Will Travel.
Okay. Yeah, no, I feel like people were so easily entertained like on TV then. Do you know what I mean?
You didn't have 10 million options.
Yeah.
Like, even as a kid, I grew up in the 1980s in a rural part of Colorado, and we had antenna television, just like I do now, weirdly
Yeah.
enough. And we got 3 channels, or maybe like a 4th, kinda. It's like we had ABC, NBC, PBS. Or we had NBC, PBS, Fox, and maybe kind of hazy like CBS or something.
Okay.
But it wouldn't come in well. Super grainy, like old TV. Like
Yep.
we had one black and white, one color. I'm not trying to sound like I'm ancient here, but it's weird how that stuff, like you can be on these weird cusps.
Yeah.
And so TV kind of, I don't know, so there'd be a couple shows I liked watching, and then it generally would just suck. It'd be like there's absolutely nothing on.
Yeah.
And that was 30, 40 years after the period we're talking about.
Right.
So it had advanced quite a bit by then.
Oh yeah.
Like there were all these reruns and things. Back then, I imagine there was a show on for a while, and then it was just off the air.
Yeah.
you know.
Could you imagine if you showed them like Transformers or something like that? Like if you went back to the 50s.
I used to think about that
And put like Transformers into a DVD player and said like, just watch this.
So, you know,
they would
sometimes-
they would think it's real.
You look at like a 4K video or whatever K they're up to now, like, you know, you go to
I think
Best
we're
Buy.
at 10. Are we at 10? Or no? Is it
I don't
4K? Is the
5K?
Five.
Maybe 5K.
5K?
Maybe.
Okay.
I don't know.
Well, whatever K it is, Special K, you know.
Yeah.
Yeah. I might know they come out with Special K TV.
Like the cereal?
Yeah, it's just like it's a TV designed to very expertly display rice flake.
Yeah.
cereal.
Or it's
Uh-huh.
more heart healthy compared to other
The
TVs.
TV, yeah.
Yeah.
Low cholesterol,
Right.
trans fat free,
Yeah.
5K viewing experience in
Yeah.
true black.
Yeah. Special K is good, but I find myself I don't eat cereal often, but if I do, I'll get like something like Special K.
Yeah.
But then I find myself like sprinkling sugar on it anyway. I'll be like, what am I doing? Who am I?
You
trying to
sprinkle
fool?
sugar on the cereal.
Yeah.
So I recently watched a movie from the 80s, Caddyshack, and they had
Nice.
on the kitchen table, they were like eating breakfast, like cornflakes, milk, orange juice, part of your complete breakfast thing. And they had like a cereal bowl full of sugar, and the kid grabbed it and spooned a bunch of sugar into the. And
Yeah.
I was like, oh yeah, I remember doing that and that was a
Yeah.
thing,
No, that's the thing.
and it's still around. You still do that.
Again, I probably haven't eaten cereal in a year, maybe 2 years. I'd never do it. But if I'm at like a good
rare
example
treat.
actually is if I'm at like a hotel and they have a continental breakfast, I'll get like the cornflakes. But listen, cornflakes
High
suck.
five to that, man.
Yeah, cornflakes, they're whatever.
Yeah,
They're-
but hotel breakfast is usually
continental breakfast is-
horrendous.
Yeah, but it's nice to have it. It's and it's kind of like you can eat as much as you want too, which is exciting. But I'll do cornflakes and I will put sugar on top of it. But if I'm getting cereal, it's got to be Cinnamon Toast Crunch every day, all day, every day of the week.
I haven't had that since probably the 90s.
That's the
I-
best cereal out there. Reese's Puffs, it's a close second for me. Reese's Puffs is,
Really?
but Cinnamon Toast Crunch, it's not even.
What about Life?
It's not even. You gotta be, holy cow! This is ridiculous. Life?
How'd this guy end up on this podcast?
Casey,
Life?
have you ever had Life cereal?
No, but I gotta say, my favorite cereal is Raisin Bran.
Oh,
So like, I'm
What?
junkie to-
Okay, he's gotta leave, or I gotta leave. One of us has gotta go.
We all
Raisin
like-
Bran?
We all like cruddy cereal.
oh.
Raisin Bran is like punishment to me. Like if you made
That's
me
how I
eat
feel
it,
about Life.
I couldn't even. Really, Life is like sweet and crispy and delicious. Raisin Bran has raisins in it, and then like cardboardish.
Yeah, I really like the brand flakes.
That's ridiculous.
Did you grow up on it?
Yeah, I don't know why. I eat it every day on campus, and they have a limited amount that you can eat. It's pretty nice.
And are there other cereals to choose from?
Yeah, they got frosted flakes.
And
they
you
got
choose that.
Reese's. Yeah, I don't know why.
Wait, you have frosted
I
flakes.
feel like that's what they would serve like prisoners as Raisin
If I
Bran
wanna-
to torture them.
Yeah, and here's a block of government
Yeah,
cheese.
yeah. How is prison
What is
not that
life?
bad?
Oh,
Worst
like,
part,
the
Raisin Bran.
Is it corn?
Is what?
What is life?
Life is rice.
Oh.
It's like a rice, like Chex kind of thing.
Yeah,
But it's like Chex that are sweet, not Chex with a bunch of.
it's like
Peanuts
it's
and
underwhelming. I
Cheetos.
think.
Huh. Yeah, I don't really eat cereal though.
I don't eat it that often either. No, I don't know. But Cinnamon Toast Crunch. is
It's a
better.
good tie-in with the westerns though, because that was like how they advertised to kids. It was like westerns and cereal and
Oh,
kids
yeah.
things, you know.
Yeah.
That would be the beginnings, and that's what I was talking about. It's not that they dealt with politics and stuff. It's that when I think about like my parents, age group, and think about those shows,
Right.
how much information got kind of programmed into people from like right and wrong, and what were the commercials that
Oh,
were on,
yeah.
and all the stuff was like directly feeding in. The same way they worry about kids with like smartphones now.
Yeah.
Kids just watching a black and white TV with like, The Rifleman starring Chuck Connors on it was a
Right.
big.
Yeah.
That was okay.
I
but
feel
other
like
stuff
young
was
boys
weird.
learned how to be a man from these characters like Clint Eastwood
Yeah.
and those old Western characters.
Clint Eastwood,
Like-
you could watch him. The first show he was on was Rawhide in the like late 50s,
Oh,
early
wow.
60s. That's on. That's on after Have Gun Will Travel.
And that dude's still doing movies.
And yeah, you can watch him.
He was just on that movie Mule.
Oh, I didn't put it in my story. I sent somebody a snap of Clint Eastwood on Rawhide this morning. He was like 20 when he was on that show or something.
Crazy.
He's a kid. He
Yeah.
probably couldn't drink. And
Yeah.
he played.
Or it was probably.
His character's name was Rowdy Yates.
Nice.
Rowdy.
Rowdy Yates.
Did your parents name you Rowdy?
Yeah.
I mean, if they
that's,
knew, you're going to be a drover. That's what a cattle
I
cattle
don't-
hauler.
I don't see
cattle
a
hauler.
parent naming someone their kid Rowdy, but I don't know. I think sometimes I'm surprised by what parents name their kids. I think we mentioned this on an earlier episode in the podcast, but it's crazy to me that somebody can, like, this beautiful baby comes out of the mom and it's like, oh my gosh, this is the most adorable thing. I love it more than anything else. I'm going to go ahead and name it Hubert, or I'm going to name it something along
Yeah.
those lines. Something that you're like, what?
Gertrude.
Yeah, Gertrude, or I don't even know.
You got to be careful, you know, because
Oh, no, I was just
these
trying-
names are somebody out there is like,
Someone's
"Dude,
like,
Gage."
that's my name.
Gage, though.
Yeah.
Gage. I mean, it's a cool name.
I think my parents told me that some of the inspiration for my name came from the movie Pet Cemetery.
Haven't seen it.
It came out mid 90s, around the time that I was born.
Sometimes the pop culture influences stuff.
And it was a horror film.
Yeah.
And there was a young boy in the movie named Gage who was playing in the street and was hit by a semi, and then they buried him in this mystical cemetery, and then he came back evil and he started killing the family. So
Okay.
I assume they didn't want that for me, but they liked the name. They didn't want me to get hit by a semi and then
Well, and you're probably past the age where that would have been a thing.
I'm beyond it, and
Yep.
I've never.
Been tested for it and all that.
Yeah, I did get tested, and the results came back negative for any of that.
Oh. I don't have a clue why I got my name. I don't know where it came from.
Steve,
Just
yeah,
threw it in there like that sounds good.
just like yeah, no, it's Steven.
I'm always kind of fascinated. I've never met any, but apparently there are a lot of
You've
women.
never met a Steve?
No, not a Steve.
Oh,
Woman named Rhiannon. Because when that song, Fleetwood Mac song came out, apparently
I know
it
a
was like
woman
a
named
lot
Rhiannon.
of people. And you might.
I sold a house to a girl named Rhiannon
Yeah.
recently this year,
I
actually.
bet they never get tired of being asked about Fleetwood Mac. Like, so we got your
Maybe.
name? I don't know.
Yeah, that could be it, actually.
I don't know how it works, but if you
That probably is.
find out for me. Because
Okay.
if you get one
do
person's
some-
anecdotal response,
I'll
that'll
do some
be,
digging. I'll do some digging on that one, and I'll see.
Yeah.
Do they still make? They don't still make westerns, do they? Or I guess what would it
Oh,
be
sure.
now?
There's modern West. I mean,
I suppose.
maybe not on TV as much, but there's like movies that come out.
Yeah, like,
I'm not like some super huge devotee of the genre or anything.
Right.
I just really the thing I like about it is like, okay, getting into it. Have Gun Will Travel. He is this like West Point graduate. This is the whole like description of Paladin, the main character. He's a West Point graduate. He was in the
Got it.
Civil War.
Oh,
he,
wow.
Yeah, he lives in a hotel in San Francisco, and he's just kind of like a fancy rich guy who drinks champagne and reads literature and plays poker and like chess. But he also is a gunfighter for hire, so these people will like wire him. Be
And
like,
when does this take? Like, I know when it was filmed in the 50s, but when does it like
it's
take?
supposed to be like
place?
1875.
Got it.
Yep.
Okay.
So he lives in this hotel in San Francisco, and there's like this Chinese guy whose name is Hey Boy, and in the credits, that's what he's credited. And this is part of what I like about watching these is how it's like this was filmed and put on television and recorded. It's like in our modern era, people like to think of it as but that's the 19th century, but no,
Yeah.
that was like when our parents were kids. What was on TV?
Yeah.
It was just this funny thing that like there was a Chinese guy named Hey Boy, and I'm like, how did that make it? Like it makes no sense. It's really
Yeah.
weird, and they're still airing it to this day.
Right.
And people are actually pretty unaware of that. There's also some episodes, like I say, they just switch things up out of nowhere, where there's Hey Girl, who like Hey Boy's not on the episode, so she's in charge. And what happens in most episodes is Hey Boy will bring him like a newspaper or a letter, and it'll be like there's some trouble out in the territory somewhere, like a bank was robbed.
Yeah.
And so it'll literally just flip. He'll whip his business card out that says like, "Have Gun Will Travel, Wire Paladin, San Francisco."
Right.
It's kind of weird. These are a lot of questions I have. He whips his card out and like kind of shows it to himself, and then he's like, "Okay, well, I'm reading this newspaper article about a bank robbery. I'm going to show myself my business card in reference to that."
Yeah.
And then it's just going to flip the scene, and here I am in Cheyenne, Wyoming.
That's how you. I kind of wonder if people from that, like, were people just dumber then? Do you think?
I think because there wasn't like good TV shows to reference it against. So,
Yeah.
And you're also talking about a genre that was made for 9-year-old boys, so they were like, whatever,
Yeah.
horses, guns,
I
adventures.
suppose
You know?
it was maybe a way to remind the viewers, like, hey, Remember me? I'm a gunslinger now. I have to go. I don't know.
Well, see, when he was out and about, like
My other question is, where do you get a business card in that time?
yeah, if you had a business card in 1875,
There's no
you
way
were ballin'.
Vistaprint existed.
Yeah, that's like having like the 3D goggles now or something, right? Like,
Yeah, if you had a business
that's
card.
pretty high tech.
I don't even know where. Do they just chisel it out of a tree?
I'll tell you, you can tell the value it had because he didn't necessarily let people hang on to it. He's like,
Here, take it. Okay, now give it back.
so like if I was the bank robber, Paladin might bust in here and just be like, Mr. Stern, and I'd be like, uh-oh. And I'd be like, who are you? And he'd come over and then he'd whip out his card and I'd look at it and be like, oh shoot, you're a gunfighter. Like,
Oh.
oh no.
So it
Uh-oh.
served as a form of identification almost, because
Pretty
it was
much.
so difficult to have like a counterfeit business card, just because it's so tough to get your hands on one. So if it says it on the piece of paper, like,
Well, what's
how are
kind
you
of
gonna
curious,
argue that?
think about it, the advertisement for his business. This is another continuity piece I don't quite get. His business card says "Have gun, will travel," so it's like you have a problem, you need a gunfighter to come solve. Oh, here's a guy with a gun, and he's willing to travel around with it.
Right.
But it's 1875. Everybody has a gun.
That's true.
Right? They're all over the place. Like no one goes out without a gun in that time.
Yeah.
So like, why would you have to go to the trouble and expense of like
Yeah.
sending a telegram to San Francisco and waiting for this dude to like ride his horse across America to come fix your
Yeah.
problems?
Right. Of the
This
things to
doesn't-
advertise, having
yeah.
the gun part seems probably least relevant. And the traveling thing, that's worth mentioning, because I imagine traveling back then was extremely tough. So the fact that this guy's willing to travel, there's some value there. But he should change the business card to like, will kill, will travel, or
Yeah,
something like
it's like-
that. Because you're like, oh, all right. And then like how he does it, why would it matter to me, I guess? All I know is that he kills, and he must have a fast horse or something, because he's willing to travel.
Yeah, it's weird. There's like he has a horse, but sometimes he just. There's also lots of things where like he rides the train to get to some faraway city,
Right.
but then you see him dipping around on a horse, and it's like, did you bring your horse on the train, or did you get a horse when you got there?
That's a good point.
Yeah, and there's just weird. It's just full of weird stuff.
Yeah. I mean, I'm sure you can do that a lot with a lot of movies now. It's just like sit and pick it apart and be like, well, that's not realistic because here's why. So, I mean, but I bet back then it was like a whole new level. You can just continuously tear these films apart about how they're
Yeah.
all the holes in their stories and
And
things.
I like watching them when I wake up in the morning. I don't really like intently watch. There's another one called Rawhide, the one that Clint Eastwood's on.
Got it.
I don't watch it much, but what I've noticed that Rawhide is about this gang of drovers, and drovers are people that would cowboy the cattle around, get them
Right.
from Kansas City to, I don't know, Tucumcari or something, wherever cows come and go to.
Right. I don't know. I don't know where cows go.
Well, see, this is a good point because what would happen on this show is that they would be like driving the cattle to Kansas City, and lo and behold, they're lost and they can't find water, and nobody knows how to get anywhere.
Yeah.
But all the guys on the cattle drive are talking about how they've been doing this their whole life since, whatever, like 50 years. And it's like, how do you not ever have any idea where every episode they're lost and they can't find their way, but they're like, you've never gone through any of these like weird mountain places twice.
Right.
So they're supposing that every time these guys went on a cattle drive, they took a different route. Like,
That sounds really dangerous.
you'd think it would probably actually be routine. Like, nope, we go this way back and forth and just move
Right.
all these cows.
It should be, especially without maps,
And it's kind of like Star Trek, the whole thing with Star Trek is they like send like 4 of the main characters down to the planet, and then the one with the red shirt and the one with the red shirt ends up getting killed.
Right.
So every episode of Rawhide, they're like moving the cows along, and then they pause for a minute, and then somebody has to like go into town or gets a letter or something. And so
Right.
like one of the characters is like, I got to dip for a minute, I'll catch up with you guys.
Yeah.
And then they go to town, and then it all cuts loose. Like sometimes like somebody inherited a bunch of money from their uncle, and they're like, I'm here to get it, but they find out there's a bunch of catches, and they get sucked into this big thing. But then all the other cattle guys are like, hey, he's not back yet. Like a few days later, they somehow swoop in at the last minute.
Because they
like,
couldn't like text or tweet at each other, like
Yeah, they'd, like, save 'em
"Has
from the
anybody
crooked
seen Dan?"
sheriff, and-
Yeah, the crooked sheriff.
and
Do you think you'd like to live in that time?
hell no.
Really?
Absolutely not.
If you could travel back to any specific time, when would it be?
Soap, hot water, indoor plumbing, electricity all have to exist. I would
Really?
love to like be a voyeur, like spectator on old timiness.
Yeah.
But anyone who thinks it's more fun to live pre like sanitation and convenience is out of their mind. Like
Yeah, this is coming from the mold guy too, so everybody remember that. No, people tell me that too. Like sometimes I hear people say like, "Ugh, they'll see like pictures from like the roaring 20s, and they'll be like, oh, that looks like so much fun. I was born in the wrong generation. I want to be like, what?
Cars
It's like,
went
no
40 miles.
way.
Have you ever driven a Model T?
No.
It's ridiculous. It's like they aren't cars weren't like just hop in and go.
Yeah.
They were kind of tricky and weird. You had
Oh,
to do
yeah.
like a
It
Model
was like
T.
solving a puzzle every time you wanted to go to the grocery store. I
Yeah, in a Model T, you have to like prime it, do the choke, set the spark advance
And you had to like
in the
twist
throttle.
the thing in the grill, didn't you?
Some of them you had to crank start. Some of them had like an electric start.
Oh, fancy.
But once they're running, it's not a gas pedal to accelerate. You set the throttle. Have you ever driven a Bobcat?
No.
Okay, so you set the throttle. You're like, I'm gonna have it be
Oh,
like.
so it just like it's like a cruise control.
Think of like a boat motor
all the
out of the
time.
water. You can just rev that sucker up.
Yep.
Right. Here's where the motor's at, and now we're gonna slip it into the gear, which is a pedal you push down and a lever you pull back, and then
Yeah.
you release the pedal and push the lever again. It's like it has two speeds, and then as you're driving, you have to adjust the throttle up and down with your hand. But as you change the throttle, you have to change the spark advance timing. So there's another lever that has to be like,
Oh my
oh,
gosh.
it's running like crap. Like, there we
That's
go.
crazy. I feel like everybody was a mechanic back then.
Model Ts are so complicated to drive that they have a gravity-fed carburation system.
Okay.
So if they go uphill too long, they fuel starve and run out of gas. So the only way to get up a long, constant grade in a Model T is to drive up backwards, so the gas is flowing down toward the engine.
That's
Yeah.
that
so
sounds awful.
would I like to live in the 1920s? No. It would have
Yeah.
taken me an hour to get here from Lincoln Park, and I might be dead because cars were death traps, things were hard.
Yeah.
And there'd be no if you're used to this modern world, there'd be no getting used to that.
Right. Okay. So you said if you could spectate on a time of
Oh.
the past.
Endlessly fascinated, but I would not give up modern world
Which
life.
time would you like to spectate on?
Oh, jeez. Like real far back, Egypt
Really?
or Romans or something like
Like
that.
dinosaurs?
Nah.
Okay.
I mean, it would be cool, but I feel like you'd get over it kind of quick. You'd be
Yeah,
like,
no, I think
these
so
things are
too.
big. It'd be cool. Well, here's
It's
the
like
other
going
problem,
to the
though.
zoo. It's cool like for the first few seconds, then you're like, I don't know, tiger's cool, but
But here's something else to think about.
Do something.
We always think about like go back in time and see things, right? That'd be cool. But it doesn't work like HBO, where if I went back to ancient Rome, everybody would be speaking Roman, and I wouldn't have a clue what was going on anywhere, right?
yeah.
They wouldn't. This is another question. This is kind of in the Westerns thing. It's why I like it. You ever notice how like movies about Rome or like ancient things, everyone has a British accent.
Yeah.
You know, like there's like the
They
guy
do.
talking to the Roman emperor, he's calling him my lord, and you're like,
Yeah, my
that's
lord.
not how they talked in Italy, and
Yeah.
I'm not that.
I
good
don't
on
know.
Roman
Yeah, I don't
history.
know any difference though. Yeah, I think Rome would be really cool to spectate. The Colosseum, those big fights.
Seeing that kind of
That
stuff
would be really
amazing.
graphic, but
Yeah,
that would be kind of cool. Seeing Julius Caesar, Gaius Julius Caesar, do his thing.
right. Yeah, it'd be interesting. I don't know what would be. But if I could go back to live in any time,
Yeah,
I'd want to be in the 1960s.
I'd probably go back to like yesterday. I wouldn't go back very far.
You just go back to yesterday.
Yeah.
And just like remember your keys or something. Or,
No, I don't even know
Not
what I
lose my
would.
cell
I
phone.
don't even know what I would change. I just, like you said, exactly like you said. I mean, I feel like life gets easier for us every single day that we're alive.
This is a hell of a privilege.
With
time to be in.
technology and sanitation and communication and education, like everything that we need. Most of the things that we need are completely right here on the supercomputer that we all carry in our pockets. So like I wouldn't go back. I wouldn't go back very far at all. I might go back to like right before we started the podcast.
Yeah.
Or maybe I'd go
Whoa,
back.
whoa, wait, what's that mean?
Yeah, and I wouldn't change anything. I would just be like, okay, this is
Just
fine.
do it over again.
Yeah, I'd be
you
like,
remember
"Hey."
everything you said.
Yeah, I would maybe change something up and see how you answer differently.
Yeah, there are. Oh, see, now that's a funny thing.
I would say instead of you not looking like a murderer, that you do look like a murderer
Oh,
in your
dude.
hat, and be like, and just kind of see how you react into that.
I mean,
Casey, when would you go back?
That's a good question.
Would you go back to like the 1600s because you're dressed like a pirate and go to the Caribbean?
Ancient Greek. I don't even know what era that technically is.
That's like,
ancient Greek. I don't know, 1940s.
I think it was like,
Just kidding.
I think it was like 100 to 1000 AD could be considered
Yeah,
ancient
that
Greece.
sounds super interesting.
something like, yeah.
Yeah.
Because pre-Rome.
Because I think Julius Caesar was born in, I think, like 30 AD or something like that.
But also, it'd be terrifying.
Or 100 AD.
Live back then.
Yeah, it would be
A
scary.
lot of killing. You
I'm
do
pretty
one
sure-
wrong, you just get hanged.
You know, before guns, everybody that died from violence died from like stabs and cuts and
Yeah.
like, it's
It was
like,
never like he died a noble death. Like
And none
he
of it was
died
quick.
screaming and holding his intestines.
no one ever died quick back then, right? It was like very
No.
little instant, just check
yeah.
out.
Going against the lion in the Colosseum actually may have been that may have been a pleasant way to die because
Is it?
they might just bite your head off and it's quick.
It'll quicker, or, yeah.
You couldn't even get hit by a car really, or maybe jump off the tall building, which at that time the tallest might have been like 10 feet tall, so you might just break an arm or
Then
something.
again, you never know what happens. I mean, I think the president was recently just talking about shutting down the airports in the Revolutionary War. Did you catch that?
He was talking about that we're going to have a Revolutionary War.
No, it was like a month or two ago. It wasn't that recent, but he was talking about. He was giving some speech. He was talking about how they did what they had to do in the American Revolution. Like they shut down the airports or something. Like he slipped that in. And it was like, what? Like,
Everyone's like, wait a minute.
hold on.
Is he joking?
Well, okay, so it always comes back like he was joking, right? But that was, remember the Sharpie Gate where they were like drawing.
I don't think so.
Do kids not follow politics? This stuff is like.
I don't watch the news.
I'm sorry I called you a kid. I didn't mean that.
No, that's,
but when I'm like talking about policy, yeah, no,
Right.
there's-
when I talk about college kids, I call them kids all the time, and then they're like, I don't know, it's just easier.
So there's this thing, like, you know, Trump said that the hurricane was going to hit Alabama, and it was never projected to, and so he, like, changed this, somebody changed this National Weather Service map with a Sharpie, it looked like, which he's known for doing. So then everybody started changing things, like photos of him with Sharpies, and some of them were hilarious. And one of him was, like, giving this speech about something, and they drew, like, little, like, biplanes over, like, a Revolutionary War poster.
I love those memes. Did you
Yeah.
see? I did see the photo that came out of Trump and his cabinet or whoever watching that video of that recent death of the ISIS guy or.
Oh, versus the Obama.
Yeah,
one?
something like that. But people were having fun with it, and they kept like putting characters into the.
haven't seen
So there
those.
was like a photo. So again, it's a photo of Trump, and you can see all of the electrical equipment is unplugged. So it's a completely staged photo of them pretending to watch.
Right.
Pretending to watch this thing going on. But people started like someone slipped in like Bruce Willis in the background, and one person slipped in like Hulk Hogan, like just sitting there like
awesome.
watching it like that. I don't know,
America.
it was so funny.
That's great.
Those memes are too hilarious.
That is something really nice about the future, like all the people that can create content and things, like
Yeah.
that you're not. So that's the thing. When like my dad was a kid, all there was westerns. When I was a kid,
Yeah.
all there was like whatever was on these couple of channels.
Right.
Now it's like everything, everywhere, all the time.
You can watch anything that you want right now.
Yeah, there's all these different forms of content, and so it's interesting to see what will people be like in 50 years.
Oh yeah.
You know, but.
Yeah. No, I don't think anybody could ever even predict it. I don't know.
I remember watching like movies in the 80s when I was a kid, and they would have like video calls where you'd have like a big old TV. And
Yeah.
You'd both be like talking to each other in a booth in your house.
Right.
And I distinctly remember, and you can't really fault like an 8-year-old for not knowing, but I was like, that'll never happen. It's completely impossible.
Yeah,
Like
yeah.
that's out of the question.
Yeah.
And actually, video calling is,
That's pretty common.
have they come up with that yet?
Video calling? I was like, wait a minute, what?
What? Yeah.
Yeah, man, like cell phones are still crazy to me. Even just like cord phones, I think I still don't totally understand how you can speak into one end and it comes out like across the country. I mean, that's still,
How like when you look at these early TV things, there was a time when like black and white and color were like, oh, someday these images might be in color.
yeah.
And like you had said, what if you could go back and show like, what if some kid watching Have Gun Will Travel? If you're like, hey, do you want to see this on like 100-inch like 4K?
Yeah.
And like see what else is possible? They'd be like, this is more vivid than real life looks, right?
Yeah.
Like clothes have drab
Oh,
colors
yeah,
and everything.
exactly.
That was like the big technology leap of the day. So back then, you would be talking to somebody and you'd be like, oh, TV could be in color someday. You'd be like, yeah, that's cool. That'd be really amazing to see. And you'd be like, but get this. We'll have like flat screens that are super crazy high def and like
Yeah.
crystal clear images. and then they'd be like, I can't even think of what you mean by that.
Oh yeah, they wouldn't even. It wouldn't.
I don't
even
understand
sound,
that.
Yeah, it would sound.
So
it would
my
sound dumb,
question,
probably.
in that same, that same sort of root problem, what are we not seeing that's possible from? Because I look at screens and technology, I'm like, yeah, we're done developing everything.
Yeah.
It all exists now, right? All
right.
of it.
Yeah.
Like it's over, but it's not. The next things are going to be
The next,
alarming.
yeah, no, that's what. It's impossible to know. But I was having a conversation yesterday with somebody. Somebody was asking me a question about Bitcoin. Do you know anything about Bitcoin?
A little bit. I know
Cryptocurrency.
Yeah.
I think that the underlying technology, blockchain, which is what makes Bitcoin work, I think that's something that's going to have a greater impact on us as humans, I guess, than the internet did. I think it's going to be crazy. The things that you can do, I've read a few books on blockchain, and the things that you can do with blockchain is ridiculous.
Like what?
So, okay, so let's use Bitcoin as an example because that's something that pretty much everybody knows. Bitcoin is a way to it's a money that you can transfer from person to person for free and instantly, which is awesome. Because right now you can't really do much of that. You can use Venmo, but then you have to use the middleman of Venmo, and I think they take a small share of something when you transfer it to your bank account or something like that. So they take a little piece of it, but Bitcoin is free. And then you can look at like these third world countries where maybe 60% of their GDP, the money they collect as the country, comes from charities or donations of other countries. But when these other countries send money to them, they have to wire it through like Western Bank or whomever, and Western Bank takes like sometimes 40% of the money that they're wiring. So if they were able to so if they were able to just send these large amounts of cash over them through cryptocurrency, then the GDP of these third world countries would
Do you think the United States
Go
will
up.
start Venmoing?
big time. They wouldn't Venmo, they would send through Bitcoin. But also there was an idea that I had read where so for anyone who doesn't know, blockchain is just a way to store data, essentially. And it's extremely secure. It can't be hacked. And the reason that it can't be hacked is because the identity of each new piece of information that comes in is reliant on the identity of that piece before it and the piece after it. So if you wanted to change one piece of information in a blockchain, you would need to change the entire chain, which could be
because every
millions
other
and
domino is affected
every other
by
dominoes
domino.
is the identity of that is reliant on that and that and that. So it's impossible to alter the
Yeah.
chain. So what they're saying is every time a baby is born, rather than getting a birth certificate, they would get a blockchain. And then every single transaction and every single thing that this baby does from the time that it's born, starting with it being born, is being recorded on its own blockchain.
Nothing creepy about that.
Well, the thing is they have total control of their own blockchain. So they can release any information that they'd like. So let's say that baby turns 21 years old and trying to get into a bar. Rather than showing a bouncer an ID, and then you have to show the bouncer your name, your address, all this information. The only thing the bouncer needs to know is how old you are. They can just pull out their blockchain tool and just be like, here, this says that I'm 21. He'd be like, oh, you're good to go.
Now, do you think, because we see in movies and TV all the time, when that technology exists and happens, do you think like when they let the person in, it'll make some kind of computery noise like?
Yep,
something,
I think it'll be like beep boop or something.
Will it just be silent?
Something along those lines.
Yeah.
Yeah. But also there was
You know what I mean? Like space electric-y kind of noise shit.
yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, for sure. Well, maybe it'll probably just vibrate. I think it'll.
Do you think those noises, someone will hear and be like, I know what that means?
Yeah.
Or it just is a random sound, like a ringtone kind of?
No, I think they'll know. Because even now I'll hear a tone on my phone and I'll know exactly the notification that I just got. I'll hear something like, ooh, she got a new showing. Or like,
Right. Super on topic. Have you ever been to one of those gas stations where
the pump and dump?
No, not the pump and dump. It's more like the crunch and jam. That one I made up. It wasn't that good. There's so many weird ones. But those gas stations were like the registers are kind of slot machine-y in that they have like ba-ding, like uh-oh. Like every time someone asks for cigarettes or something that needs an ID, it literally goes uh-oh.
Oh,
and
really?
Then you're like, oh, that's the ask for ID sound. Or
I don't think I've seen that.
when it's like a ding, like a bell, that means like thing approved.
Yeah.
And so these people are trained with all the like wacky like it literally is like the weird whistles and stuff.
No, yeah, there's like the audio censorship that
It's not even that new. This has been around. I mean, it's not common, but there's certain gas stations and places you go in. It'll be like kind of the weird. It's like a chain, but just for like the Tri-County area chain or something.
right.
Nice gas station, Trying to think of the name. There's one in particular I can picture it. It's in Andover, Minnesota. It's not worth a trip or anything. Maybe Andover is. I don't know what Andover has to offer. I'm sure their Chamber of Commerce tends to disagree.
Of course.
But yeah, it was like all these weird names, and it was like training humans with like horribly annoying like if you have to listen to like the ting like
Yeah.
noise like 5,000 times, like every time somebody wants to buy like a cherry Coke or whatever.
Oh, right.
Or,
Yeah.
you know, this thing. I don't know.
Yeah. No, I get what you're saying. Definitely. Casey, what are we at for time right now?
1 hour.
1 hour exactly. Perfect. Well, let's do the special news of the day.
Special news of the
I
day.
told you that I searched it before, and
Easy to find it though.
here's the news that I came up with. So, the headline of this news article is Man sticks cannabis in his nose and then forgets about it for 18 years.
That's something.
This is
Did he remember?
The 48-year-old patient finally realized his breathtaking situation thanks to doctors at Sydney's Westmead Hospital, where he was referred after complaining of headaches. According to a study published earlier this week, BMJ case reports appropriately titled Nose Out of Joint. A CT scan showed what looked like a calcified lesion in the nasal passage. So this guy stuck weed in his nose and then forgot about it, and then it calcified, and 18 years later he was complaining about headaches, and they gave him a CAT scan, and then they saw the thing in his nose. Would you ever stick weed in your nose?
But a lot of other places.
Yeah. Oh.
Well, actually, not that many, I guess.
I was like, what?
Actually, all in the same place. Come to think of it. No, I would not.
Okay, yeah.
No.
Yeah, no, I don't, that's wild.
My parents in the cities, their neighbor, my parents in the cities, like I have other parents in other places. That's where they live. So
Yeah,
everyone
my
knows.
Albuquerque parents.
This isn't a Duluth anecdote. Are those allowed on the show? Non-Duluth anecdotes.
Yes.
Their neighbor was from Newfoundland, and her story is that she was like 5 years old and shoved a pea up her nose, like a pea pod,
Yeah.
a green pea, and didn't want to tell anyone when she like accidentally lost it up there. So she let it go until it like got weird, like a few days later, and it sprouted out of her nose.
Oh!
And her parents like called the doctor, and he came out and just tweezered it out and removed it. And then he gave her a Hershey bar, and she's like, "That's the first time I ever ate a Hershey's bar."
Really?
Yeah, and she's probably like 80 years old now, so this is sort of that like
It's
older than my
sprouted?
parents. This is like that generation of like, you know, they were the parents of the kids watching those westerns.
Oh.
And I believe this to be a 100% true story. I mean,
Yeah.
it's kind of like it's good, but why would you make it up? Like if you
Right.
made it up, you'd be like, "No, a whole zucchini grew out of my face."
Yeah.
You would embellish it. You wouldn't just be like, "Ah, it sprouted a little," and my mom freaked out and called the
Yeah,
doctor.
so, or like you would
And I
be
got a
like this
candy
guy,
bar.
where you would say like you waited 18 years and then you got an X-ray and it turns out you have an entire pea plant growing
Yeah.
throughout your whole body. I don't know.
Well, like in 2019, you would then like the story would go on that you like end up becoming, you know, you like win a settlement with Green Giant because like they didn't label them as not
Yeah.
for nasal consumption.
Yeah,
and
exactly.
it's this
Please do
whole
not plant in body.
calamity. Yeah.
Yeah.
No peas in your nose. You
Yeah,
heard it
that's-
here first, though. You can go home and try that. It's a good experiment.
Yeah.
Put a pea up your nose, weed, whatever.
Yeah.
Squash. I
Throw
don't
some
care.
Miracle Grow, snort some Miracle Grow off the table, and see what grows out of your face.
It'll be blood probably if you put
Yeah.
fertilizer in there. That's my guess.
Yeah, don't do that.
Not speaking from experience.
I don't
on this
have
one.
that many viewers to where I think somebody would see that and go, I should give this a try, but don't do that. That's
You know what? Like, you know how they really used to overdo it with like the waiver and like stop and don't do this stuff. Don't
Yeah.
try this at home.
Right.
When it was things I would like literally be like, people do? Would they? Why would you ever try that? Like,
Yeah.
Why are they trying it on TV?
I think that, but then I think about some of the things I did, like when I was like 10 years old or around that age, and you're like, all right, that was pretty weird. So I could see myself maybe doing something on that. Okay, so I just like was looking at this, and there's a little bit more to the story.
Oh, go on.
I thought that he had just shoved weed in his nose, but
Oh, I'm sure there's a perfectly logical explanation.
Yeah, the man. Okay, so doctors
With
removed
context.
the object and later engaged the patient. At that point, the man remembered an incident which he was about to go to prison, and his girlfriend gave him a parting gift: some weed in a rubber balloon. The man inserted the bud-filled balloon up his right nostril, but ended up inhaling it further than he expected, to the point where he thought he had swallowed it, and he forgot about it. Despite suffering numerous sinus problems since the inhalation is the word they used, the man is, so he...
That doesn't really explain anything.
That at
Why
least
would you shove a
gives
balloon in
me
your nose?
a reason why. Well,
You're like, yeah, it's a good place
he
to
was
hide this.
trying to hide it, yeah.
And don't you think that would hurt a lot?
It would also be extremely
Like,
obvious to any police officer.
Dry
Barely got
latex,
away with it, though.
Yeah, that's true.
dry latex in the nose. Like
Yeah.
that doesn't sound good.
I
No.
didn't even think about putting an empty balloon up there.
Right.
I mean, one thing that does ring a little true to me, and like weed in the late '80s, early '90s, all the Just Say No stuff. They did just terrified about these things. You would,
Yeah.
you would never be open about stuff. So people did do some probably fairly wacky like.
Oh, yeah.
But I just feel like if you were like, I gotta hide this fast, you would go for like the larger mouth hole
Right.
than the like.
Yeah.
How much weed was it? Does it? I mean,
If it fit in his nose...
how much do you think you could fit up a nose?
I don't really know. Probably...
Not much.
I'm not really sure. I'm not good with, like, the measurements
Yeah.
of what... I feel like
The part of the story
Like
that
a-
actually is weirdest to me is the balloon.
probably a half a piece of broccoli size.
But like, who puts weed in a balloon?
Right. That may have just been the only package they had around them.
Just a balloon.
Yeah, do you have, like, a little bag? No, but I have this balloon. Oh, okay, that'll work.
A sheet of paper. Like, I don't know, like a
Yeah.
balloon. That's like, it's hard
Yeah.
to get in there.
It would almost be better to just stick the weed
How do they
in
even
your
get it
nose.
in there? Right.
Then the weed would have like dissolved probably.
But what happened to
Yeah.
the balloon though? Because the balloon didn't dissolve in his
Yeah,
nose.
that's true.
That was the
How is there not-
That was the weed, I guess, probably had calcified and hardened to the balloon.
But I mean, that's not a very scientific explanation though.
Yeah,
Like, something's not adding up,
something's not adding up.
and that's all that information they have.
That's apparently it was, I don't
What are
know.
their sources?
The Huffington Post.
Okay.
So, I don't know. Believe it if you want. Believe
Huff.
it if you want.
The Huff Dank Post.
Steve, you got anything else that's pressing you? Anything that's you think you'd want to get out of your system on a podcast such as this one?
Yeah, boy, if I did, I would.
Yeah. No, I think we covered some stuff. We covered the westerns.
Yeah, we talked about that
We
a little
talked
bit.
about,
There's weird shows, you know.
You being a trucker, yeah, weird shows. Westerns are weird. Talked about, I don't know, technology a little bit.
Talked about murderers and whether they would wear like a hat and glass kind of motif.
Yeah. Yeah. Do you like this kind of open conversation
Oh yeah.
forum kind of thing? where you just-
Absolutely.
Yeah, I do too.
I don't know if I'm capable of having any other kind, really.
Right. Yeah. When I was thinking of starting a podcast, I of course considered doing a real estate related one because
Yeah.
I don't know
Mm.
naturally, but
Well,
I don't
it
know.
could help your, you know.
Yeah, it could help my business but I feel like I would get bored really fast.
You know, honestly, we were talking about the business. You were like, "Oh, we'll talk about it to start out." I was like, "That's great," but I mean, I work really hard at my business, and I'm always at it. I'm
Yeah.
always doing stuff, and I'm like, it's hard for me to get off topic from that
Right.
because you know it well, and you're really engaged, and it's pretty exciting.
Yeah.
It's fun being like a business owner, especially in
Right.
a small town where like it kind of stands out. You know, a lot
Yeah.
of us kind of see each other doing
Yep.
our thing, like little groundhogs poking up.
Yep.
But it is such a relief to like, you know, look a little silly, act a little
Oh,
stupid.
for sure.
Like talk
Yeah.
about something that is not related
Talk about
to
something just ridiculous.
the biome of your home and you know the
Yeah.
humidity control in this room and
Yeah.
it's important stuff.
Yeah, it
Like,
is. It
you
is.
know,
Yeah,
I take
don't-
it seriously, but
I don't think. Actually, wait. No. Okay, I had one more thing.
Okay.
Somebody asked me this question. Somebody asked me this question a few weeks ago at a bar, and it's a pretty popular question, I think. But I think it's one that can be very telling of somebody. So here's the question: if you were stuck on an island and you brought 3 things with you, what 3 things would they be?
I'm
Whether or not you can will be rescued on this island, unknown.
okay. And that's all very, just, I can bring 3 things and I'm stuck there
3
for
things. It's
indeterminate amount of
it's
time.
your typical sandy beach island.
Okay.
It's
So, I mean,
3 miles in
I hate to ask
diameter.
such a question, but it's like food's somehow not an issue.
You don't know much about the island other
Okay.
than it's 3 miles in diameter, and it's sandy, and it's like wooded, like an island would be. So like there's palm trees and such, but you don't know if there's food there.
Sure. Well, I would bring. I guess I would definitely want to bring like some kind of source of music. If I could have like a iPod with 50,000 songs on it or something.
Okay.
Does that count? Being that
Yeah, you
specific.
could bring. I would be nervous about that because there aren't many like outlets. So like.
Oh yeah, if we're being super realistic about the thing's gonna die, I mean, yeah,
It's gonna die.
It's not like a nuclear battery thing. Yeah. So practical things that I would
You
need.
could bring a generator though, and you could plug it into your iPod into your generator. But then now you're taking up 2 different things just so that you can listen to Hooey and the Glowfish or whatever.
I guess if I was being practical, I definitely want like a very high quality like carbon steel knife of some sort.
Okay, that's good.
implement for making all kinds of things.
Mm.
I would for sure. It sounds funny, but I actually think having like the biggest roll of poly sheeting you can buy. I know that you could buy poly like 6 mil poly sheets and like multi-1,000-foot rolls for commercial use.
Yeah.
Having poly sheeting would be really handy. You could be like waterproof, airtight, make a heated structure. You could add a lot of foraged things to poly. You could
That's
also
a very
use
practical thing to
it
bring.
to collect water because you could make like
Oh,
a solar kind of enclosure
wow.
and condensate.
See, that's something I never would have thought to bring. So that's actually good that I hear you say
Yeah.
that, just in case I'm ever actually put in this situation.
Thermal and moisture control are going to have a lot to do with comfort, and you're able to make water that way. You're able to contain heat.
Right.
So if you want to survive, you need an implement to work and build with and do food things. That's your knife. Poly sheeting seems like if it can be one thing, it must be a gigantic roll of that just landed on the beach.
Yeah.
And the third thing? Jeez. Can a thing be a dog?
Yeah,
I'll bring a dog.
for sure.
Yep.
Why not?
Companionship, company, security.
Yeah, would you eat it?
Hell no.
If
Of course
you
not.
had to, though.
I might
I
eat
would
it.
just die. I would not eat the dog.
Really?
No.
I bet you would eat it.
Okay, I mean, everyone that crashed on that plane in the Andes in the 70s could
They
be
ate
like,
each other.
They ate each other. And I bet if you asked them all right before they took off, none of them would have checked the yes box.
Yeah, like I wouldn't bring a friend to the island with me with intentions of eating him if
Right.
I got too hungry.
Yeah, like what about, when I say I'll bring a dog, I'm bringing a friend. Like, what do you guys feel about dogs?
I like dogs, but I just know that
I
if I
don't
was,
know. You have a hard time convincing me. You
I know,
ate
I
that
think-
dog pretty quick.
No, I.
Like, still, you're like, I
It
eat
would take a long time because I think the dog would actually serve a very important
Help you get
emotional
food,
role.
probably.
But he would keep you emotionally sane. Having that friend there, he would also eat some of your food, which is another back to the whole eating
But
him
like-
is a good idea thing. But
Let's say there was a deer on this island.
yeah,
You think you or your dog, without rifle, a gun being available, would be better at running down an animal and catching it?
well, it depends on the kind of dog.
I would bring a Rottweiler. That's just the kind
I
of
think
dog
I would
that
bring a
like
German
that.
Shepherd.
Yeah, I think either one of those, a hungry, large breed dog like that, would totally like start running down if they
Yeah.
found deer, rabbits, things. And it might be a little weird to like fight with your dog for your food, but I mean,
Well, I would.
my dog has a better chance of killing something like
I
that
think
than
he
I do.
would feel loyalty to you. So I think that
Yeah.
he would look at you like look, I got it, and then
Yeah.
you could, okay, nice
Get you
work.
in on it.
So then it's like a team.
Bust them off a little
It's
bit.
like yeah, bust him off like a like a hoof or something.
Alright, what if your dog ran out of food? Would he try to eat you?
I don't think so. Dogs are loyal to humans.
That's so weird.
Like I think a
Eventually,
cat
I
would.
think he would try to eat you, the dog.
I don't know.
I bet he would.
Well,
goes
it's weird
back to
because a
just,
wolf
like,
would just eat
primal.
you automatically. And
Yeah, I
they're
wouldn't
kinda
bring a wolf.
connected. No,
I wouldn't bring a wolf.
I wouldn't bring a wolf anywhere though, not just to the island. But
Yeah, I wouldn't even bring a wolf like
As-
to the mall.
yeah. As a rule, as a rule of thumb in life, bring wolves nowhere.
I actually try to avoid them. Although I don't think there's any record of a wolf killing a human being in Minnesota
But
ever.
I like how that went like dead air. Oh, yeah. Is there a way to find out?
Yeah, we can. I think they may have injured them, but no.
Oh, I'm sure they've been injured. They've attacked dogs. I know that. I wouldn't be surprised. I mean,
There are-
wolf attacks don't sound very common.
You're right.
Alaska-
Never have I walked outside and been like, oh, is there any wolves around?
Well, they're afraid of people.
I saw a
It's
bear-
happened in Alaska. They've killed.
I saw a bear in my Inger Tower this summer, and there were just people out walking around, and I drove, and these people had a dog, and it was off leash. They were walking toward where this bear had just like dipped into the woods, and I was like, whoa, you better grab your dog. There was like a bear,
Yeah.
and they totally just shrugged and were like, yeah, whatever, it's fine. I'm like, it's like a 300-pound animal versus like a 30-pound animal. They just dipped. I left. And
So
And no one ever heard of them again.
according to
I never did. Come to think of it.
According to NBC, there are only 2 killings that wolves have killed human beings on
In-
record in North America,
Oh,
and they both happened in Alaska.
Hmm.
So only 2 people have been killed by wolves in North America on record, both in Alaska. This is according to NBC News. So
South America, different story.
South America, those Brazilian wolves,
It's kind of like killer African bees. It's like killer South American wolves.
everything below the equator
Scary.
wants to kill us.
It's all scary down there.
Yeah, that's when I hear people like going to Australia. I'm like,
Do you ever look at the globe and realize how few of the people that live in the world live in the southern hemisphere?
yeah,
It's like none of them. It's like way less populated than the northern hemisphere.
yep.
It's really weird.
Yeah, I think I saw like again Australia as an example. I think I saw that like 99% of the Australian population live within 10 miles of the coast.
It's like 80% of the whole world's population
Live within a coast?
Yeah.
Wow,
Yeah, it's like very common to live by a coast, by water.
it's nice.
Especially if you filter in rivers. Rivers
yeah.
and coastal.
Or lakes, like this one that we can see out the window a little bit here.
Yeah, look, there's, outside of here, where there are 120,000 people
Yeah,
living in concentration, right at the edge of the water and nowhere else.
yeah,
Same with Thunder Bay, Sault Ste. Marie.
yeah. Colorado, people like the mountains, so maybe
Yeah.
mountainous areas. People like that.
That's where I was born, Denver, Colorado.
Nice. I like Colorado a lot. I think that's pretty much it, though.
I think we got it all
I
figured
think
out,
we got
yeah.
we got to hit a high five.
Is that-
Steve,
is
you
that
wanted
good
to. If you guys need any kind of stinky or moldy situations, you're gonna want to find Steve Stern. Where can they find you, Steve? Where do you want them to find you if they're watching this right now and they got a stinky situation?
We're at Green Home Solutions, www, of course, for World Wide
Nice.
Web. I don't know if you know if that's what that
I
stands
always
for.
wondered if people still put that in.
www.
World Wide Web. I knew that.
I do type that sometimes. I think it's just
Do you
habit.
really?
I think it's just, when I'm not searching, I want it to be clear it's a website. Yeah, I
Yeah.
tap the key
Ring finger.
with my finger like
Too many
that.
W's.
1, 2, 3 times.
Yeah.
Then I use this finger over here. Anyway,
Love it.
www.greenhomesolutions.com/Duluth-MN.
Love it.
Yes, sir.
Perfect. This is a good cast. We had some interesting talks. Thank you
I
for coming
enjoyed
on,
it.
Steve. Don't forget if you need video work done, Casey Flipson. He's your dude. Like and subscribe on YouTube, Spotify, iTunes. Thank you guys. We had one mic today. It worked out just fine though.
Happy Halloween.
Happy Halloween. That's right. Nice. We did it. Lock this
Did
puppy
you guys high
down.
five? Yeah.
Oh yeah, we slapped him. We slapped him real good.
Wow, it's so weird taking this off now. It's like,
Yeah.
okay, now I'm actually here.
Yeah.